Our Missing series tonight focuses on the mysterious disappearance of a young woman from South Carolina. Alexis Ware is a mother of two who vanished just before her 30th birthday, and no one can figure out why.
She kept thinking that she wasn't going to make it to her 30th birthday.
Then, a series of concerning Facebook posts.
They were kind of not her norm, but eventually they were deleted.
She told her mother she wasn't going to make it to her 30th birthday. Not as a fear, not as a worry she was working through. She said it the way you say something you already know. The way you say the sky is gray before a storm. Flat. Certain. Final. And 3 days later, Alexis Ware vanished. Her car turned up 70 miles in the wrong direction, covered in mud, sitting in a hunting field in the middle of nowhere. Her phone was inside. Her purse was inside. Her ID was inside. Her hair bonnet was on the ground next to the car, like it had just fallen off her head. Alexis was gone. And over 4 years later, she still is. Before we go any further, I need to ask you something. If you're watching this right now and you care about real people, real mothers, real daughters, real women who disappeared and still haven't been found, please take 2 seconds. Like this video. Subscribe to 3 AM Files. Hit that bell. Because every view, every like, every new subscriber is how stories like Alexis Ware stay alive. The algorithms don't care about missing women, but you do. And that matters more than you know. Don't let her case get buried again. Stay with me. Alexis Ware was 29 years old when she disappeared on January 30th, 2022, from Anderson County, South Carolina. She was a hairstylist, an entrepreneur, a mother of two, a 9-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son. She had 30,000 followers on both Facebook and Instagram. She had plans, real ones. She had just gotten approved to break her lease and relocate to Atlanta. She had a business license. She had clothing racks already stacked up, ready to go into the boutique she was going to open. She told her mother, "Ma, I'm just gonna go hard. I want better for my kids." Her children were her entire world, and everyone who knew her said so without hesitation. Her brother Travis described her as the light of every room. Before she's the makeup artist, hairstylist, before any of that, she's a mother, he told Dateline. That was her pride and joy. This is important. I want you to hold on to who Alexis was, because it matters when we start talking about what happened in those final days. Because the Alexis who showed up at her mother Alberta's house that last weekend was not that woman. She wasn't lighting up rooms. She wasn't planning her birthday look months in advance the way she always had. She hadn't done anything for the birthday that was coming up. Nothing. And for Alexis Ware, that was deeply out of character. Alberta noticed immediately. It wasn't the Alexis that we're used to, she told investigators. Something was freaking her out. Something was. But Alexis wasn't saying exactly what. What she did say was terrifying enough. She told her mother someone had been following her. Not a feeling, not a passing anxiety. She said a black truck had been trailing her for weeks. She said she was scared. And she told Alberta that someone she refused to name, someone she only called the devil, would not stop calling her phone. She had the number blocked. And somehow the calls kept getting through. That last weekend, sitting in her mother's house, Alexis's phone rang over and over and over again from the same number. She picked it up and showed Alberta. "Look, how does this number keep getting through? I have it blocked." Alberta asked who it was. Alexis wouldn't say. She asked again. Alexis changed the subject. That's the part that should stop you cold. Because Alexis wasn't a woman who scared easily. She was bold. She was the life of the party. And here she was, sobbing in her mother's house, refusing to name the person terrifying her. That tells you something. That tells you this wasn't just some stranger. She knew who the devil was. She just wouldn't say. And then she said the thing that Alberta has never been able to unhear. She said she didn't think she was going to make it to her 30th birthday. Alberta pushed back. She asked her daughter why. And Alexis just kept saying she knew. She just knew. Now let's pause on that for a second, because there are a few ways to read that moment. One is that Alexis was in genuine fear for her life, that whoever was calling her and whoever was driving that black truck had already made threats she hadn't shared with anyone. Another reading is darker and stranger. In the weeks before she disappeared, family members noticed Alexis had become deeply absorbed in astrology and spiritual practice. She was reading constantly about her zodiac sign. She told family members she could sense things that were going to happen. She told them to pay attention to colors, to roads, to patterns. Her mother described it as a kind of heightened perception that had taken hold of Alexis, a belief that she could see what was coming. Now, people interpret that differently. Some in the community have pointed to it as evidence of spiritual dabbling that turned dangerous. Some have suggested Alexis believed she had brought something dark onto herself. I want to be clear. There is no verified reporting from law enforcement confirming any of that. What is confirmed is that Alexis was clearly operating under a profound sense of dread. Whether that came from something real and physical threatening her, or something she believed on a spiritual level, or both, that's something investigators have never publicly answered. What they have answered is this. The next evening, she left her mother's house. She drove to Anderson. She met T.J. Patterson, the father of her youngest child, at a 7-Eleven on Highway 29 North. She handed the kids off, and then at a red light, she drove around his car and floored it into the night. No warning. No explanation. She just ran. At 8:15 that night, her phone pinged a location in Anderson. Cameras caught her car at a nearby apartment complex twice. And then, shockingly, her car was picked up by highway cameras in Augusta, Georgia, nearly an hour away. No one could confirm whether Alexis was the one driving at that point. 2 days later, her car turned up in McCormick County, 70 miles south of Anderson, in the opposite direction from anywhere she was supposed to go. A rural hunting field. A muddy road. A place where Alexis Ware had no family, no friends, no reason to be. Everything was still inside. Phone. Purse. ID. A bag of clothes in the trunk. Her bonnet on the ground outside, like it had been pulled off or fallen in a hurry. No Alexis. Here's where it gets harder to explain away. The FBI was called in by March 2022. SLED, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, was involved. The Department of Homeland Security Investigations was brought in. K-9 units, cadaver dogs, air support, ground searches across multiple counties. A tip sent investigators to Hickory Knob State Park with bloodhounds. Nothing. Multiple agencies, thousands of hours for years, and not a single confirmed answer about what happened to Alexis Ware. T.J. Patterson, the last documented person to see her, was investigated. He was cleared in January 2023. Investigators stated that several avenues of inquiry suggested he had no involvement. So then who was the devil? Who was driving the black truck? Whose number kept breaking through her blocked list? Those questions have never been answered publicly. And the fact that Alexis refused to name the caller, refused even to her own mother, someone she clearly trusted, suggests she had a reason. Either she was protecting someone, or she was terrified of what naming them might cost her. Here's what I keep coming back to. Alexis Ware did not run from T.J. Patterson at that red light because she was having a nice evening. You don't floor it into the night after handing your babies off and cry all weekend because everything is fine. Something or someone had her in a grip of fear so severe that she spent her last documented weekend sobbing, predicting her death, and refusing to tell the people who loved her most what was happening. The spiritual element, the zodiac obsession, the premonitions, the sense that she could see what was coming. I don't think that's a distraction from this case. I think it might be a window into Alexis's state of mind in those final weeks. Something had shifted in her. Something had convinced her that what was coming couldn't be stopped. That is not the behavior of a woman planning to leave voluntarily. That is the behavior of someone who believed, on some level, that her time was running out. As of February 2026, Alexis Ware has been missing for over 4 years. Her children have grown up without their mother. Her family pushed South Carolina legislators to consider the Alexis Ware Act, aimed at reforming how the state handles cold missing persons cases. They are still fighting. They are still waiting. And the case is still open. So I want to ask you directly, who do you think the devil was? Do you believe Alexis was running from someone specific that night? Do you think the spiritual shift she experienced in those final weeks was her way of processing a threat she didn't have the words, or the safety, to speak out loud? And what do you make of a car that ends up 70 miles in the wrong direction with every possession intact and no body, no blood, and no answers? Because someone knows something. They have to. A woman does not evaporate. And 4 years of silence from whoever that is, that silence is its own kind of statement. Drop your theory in the comments. I want to know what you think happened to Alexis Ware. And if you're not already part of this community, subscribe to 3 AM Files right now. We don't let these stories die. We don't let these names fade. Because at 3 AM, when the world goes quiet, the truth still has a chance to come out.